Good afternoon everyone, I'm Akhila, Application Specialist from GE Healthcare. Standing for you to present a presentation on the topic Revo 385. It's a new innovation in low-dose CT scan. So, first I'll go with the specifications of the system. This is a 16-slice CT scanner which was launched 1.5–2 years before. We can claim it as a 16-slice world's smallest scanner. With footprints, we can even install it in a small space, and we use a Viper DOD. DOD doesn't detector means it's a hardware system in which we use a Viper. I start from beginning or what?
Sure, please.
Start from beginning.
No, start, no problem.
Okay. And here we are using a 2-amateur tube which is called Venus, and we have a rotation time of 1 second with surface FOV 43 centimeters, and the total power consumption is 40 kVA. That means which is the lowest power consumption system which has ever launched by GE. So while working a CT, it will take the total power consumption is 40 kVA, and the table coverage area is 1100. And we can get a whole length pelophlangio with this 1100, and we have a tilt but not a manual one, which can be given as a digital tilt in which the radiation is less while giving the tilt, and it is done by the software itself. And we have a ASER, means Adaptive Statistical Iterative Reconstruction. It's an enhanced recon for low-dose CT and high-resolution image reconstruction. And there are many other special features for the Revo 385. One is highlight scintillation detector. We use a scintillation detector. Detectors are the main parts in the CT. Next is Volera DT. DT is digital tilt. We use a particular hardware called Volera, and we use ASER and Visor. We have an organ dose modulation in which the radiation dose is reduced very highly using the organ dose modulation, in which we can reduce the organ dose towards the lenses, breast, gonads, and so. And it ensures fast, high quality acquisition at optimized dose for all patients across diverse procedures. So it makes fast diagnosis from head to toe. And going to organ dose modulation. Organ dose modulation is a special feature in which GE using by modulating the MA. We use the MA modulation for reducing the radiation towards the superficial tissues such as breast and crystal lenses. ODM is a special thing which acts like a bismuth shield. Before, in the earlier CTs, we were using a virtual bismuth shield just below the target, so that the electrons coming from the source have to penetrate through the bismuth shield, so it requires so much radiation dose to be given for the patient. So here we are using a ODM. It's a special thing which directly act like a virtual bismuth shield, so it can protect eyes, thyroid, breast tissue, etc. So no need of giving any extra bismuth shield, or even with a low radiation dose we'll get the same image quality which was getting by a higher emission. And OptiDose. OptiDose is given by dose reduction with ASER combined with GE's OptiDose technologies. Here we have a 24 array of detectors, in which 16 arrays used for the image reconstruction and the 8 arrays used for the OptiDose. In this 8 detectors, they do the Z-axis tracking, in which they can block the unused X-rays being at the end of the helical scan. So during the Visor helps in the reconstruction technique, so that you can get good reconstruction coronal, sagittal and axial images. And next thing that reduces the MA is the short aneurysm. If the target and the patient is far away, it requires so much radiation to come to get a good quality image. Here the Gandhi shot, the length, the distance between the film, the detector and the patient and the target is comparatively very less, so that there is radiation dose is less, and we have an O2MA in which the signal to noise ratio optimizes the dose so that the system automatically selects the MA range which is given to a particular patient accordingly to the distance. And Smart MA is a thing which is along with use with O2MA. So Smart MA gives you the Z-axis resolution. So in this AB and lateral image, if you give a collimation or the localizer, if you put, it gives us Z-axis radiation to go correctly, and it reduces unwanted images, means unwanted scatter radiation. So it only concentrates to the good images. Visor is a volumetric image space reconstruction. What it do is it gives 3D filter, it reduces noise with a loss in resolution. It is usually used for brain, tumor and pediatric cases, because pediatric patient we know we require only less radiation dose to be given, and it gives 20% image quality improvement with 36% dose reduction. Next is the ASER. ASER is Adaptive Statistical Iterative Reconstruction. It helps in the dose reduction up to 40%, delivering the good quality images. So what ASER does? Before we were using back projection or filtered back projection. In filtered back projection, what they use is they'll use the backward images for reconstructing our image. So the image reconstruction is slow, as well the image quality is very less, which contributes in high radiation dose. But in ASER, we use the forward images, forward projections for constructing an image. So in the ASER, we are using forward images, so the reconstruction is fast, as well the details that we are getting is noise free. So because of ASER, if you apply ASER, this 3 and 5 is a ASER-enabled system. Without the ASER, the system cannot be producing good quality images. So for particular, if the ASER is 0, the image becomes noisy, and if the ASER is 100%, the image becomes too smooth. So for every area, every region of interest, there is a particular ASER to be kept. See, in this image you can see the effect of ASER on an image. The first image, in the non-ASER image, you can see so much grainy image it is, and with ASER you will get a smooth image, which is quite good for a diagnosis. And with, if you are applying, suppose if you are applying a 40% ASER to abdomen and giving 100 mA, the ASER will contribute in the image quality, as well it reduces 40% of radiation dose. So if you are applying 100 mA, we will be getting 60 mA. They will be using 60 mA, but will be giving a 100 mA effect. Next is Pitch Booster. Pitch Booster is a software thing done. So if the patients are more, and it can reduce cone beam artifacts. So it helps in fast scanning, speed and coverage will be more with excellent image quality. So Pitch Booster is a particular thing. Pitch is a thing which decides spatial resolution. If the pitch decreases, spatial resolution increases, but the speed decreases. But in this system, we are having a pitch booster. Even in high pitch, the highest pitch that we can use in Brevo 385 is 1.75, and in this 1.75 we can get speed as well as good quality images without any loss in the image quality. With the speed will be equal to 50 slice system, as well as we know this is 16 slice system, but if you are applying 1.75 pitch, it acts like a 50 slice scanner. Next thing we can do is 3D surface, 3D MIP and 3D volume rendering images. These are the 3-dimensional visualization of the images. Means we can do 3D, maximum density projection, minimum density projection. So many things in the console only. The console of 385 is as it is like a ADW, like a advanced workstation of GE. So everything can be done with the console only. So these are some of the cases. 3D. So first you can see a carotid angio with vessel bone extraction. So the bones, we have a particular software called Autobahn Express, in which the bones just like that goes and the vessels will come out. And we can, in case some vessels are missing, we can just grow it up, we can add something, we can minimize something, subtract something. So for these things, for these procedures, we are using Autobahn Express. As well, you can see an HRCT lung and elbow 3D. So here are some other images. These are the volume rendered image. The middle image of the skull that you are seeing is surface shaded image, and other two images, the foot and the pelvis, is volume rendered. So 3 images we can make with the system. Next is CT perfusion. As we know, perfusion is done in case of patient is having any ischemic stroke or something. So in case for this patient, we have particular software for CT perfusion, and it includes blood volume, blood flow, mean transition time, and everything you will get in a particular software. So you can manage to use these images. We have a particular software for DENDA scan. In the DENDA scan, what we do is we will do the dental scanning in a thin section, multi-millimeter section we use. That means 0.65 thickness we use for the scan, and the scan will last till 10-15 seconds maximum. Here we will get the panoramic view, along with we will get thin axial section. As you can see here, you can see the thin axial sections of the images. With we can even get a volume rendered image of dental, and even we can remove each teeth. We can separate each teeth, and we can measure each teeth and give. So these are the things that can be done with the DENDA scan software. Vessel analysis. Vessel analysis is another peculiar software in which we can see the whole artery from head to toe in 2 clicks. So suppose if you want a vessel analysis, you can just click on the start location of the particular artery and end location of a particular artery. So you can fully track the image. So you can see a peripheral artery here with using a vessel analysis. So you can get a full artery from iliac towards the dorsalis pedis. Next is angiograms. Angiogram is another thing that you can see, that you can do here. So these are the images of carotid angiograms. The first image you are seeing is HDMIP images. This is another version of 3D in which you can get high definition multiple intensity projections, which is quite useful than the volume rendered image. Whatever you are missed in the volume rendering image, we can just view it in the HDMIP images. And the second image that we are seeing is a volume vessel analysis image. So you can see a vessel tracked image, and the third image is also vessel tracked image, and fourth image that you are seeing is the volume rendered image, which is 3D is of different types. One is volume rendered, that is a yellow image that you are seeing. HDMIP, minimum IP. So many, all together we call it as 3D, but every 3D have a different names. Now here you are seeing a renal angio studies, in which you can get an absolute good renal angios. Here you can see the whole abdominal arteries. Along with renal artery, you can separate the renal artery using the Autobahn Express. With bone also you can get the images, and you can change the color, you can make it a little bit, you can beautify it, you can merge it inside a coronal view so that you can just make it out. And even urographic studies, get a better urographic study with or without bone in the system. Here, this image is showing the full coverage peripheral angio. So it is amazingly effective that you are seeing a full coverage image here. See, you can see the full coverage images here. With you can get from upper pole of liver till downwards dorsalis pedis, and you can give different intensity of color coding, and you can get an inverse image, HDMIP image, colored image. So peripheral angio is a thing that we require the most coverage in the whole CT that we are doing. So we will get a full coverage area with this system. These are some of the images of the peripheral angio with color coded inverse image with bone images. So these things we can do with the full coverage. Even we can get a head, chest and abdomen together. We can always go for a iotogram also. So these are some of the images of the pulmonary angio. Except coronary angio, we can do every cases with the system. So pulmonary angio images, you can see the first image is showing the pulmonary artery which is merged with the glass vent of the chest. Second is a maximum intensity projection, second and third. Third is a volume rendered image that you are seeing. So these are all the cases done here only. means in this system. So these are the full size iodogram from up towards down. So you can see, you can change the color of the stent. So this is a stented one. So you can see the stent in a different color and the full iodogram in a different color, which is merged with bone also. You can view it. So these all are the images that we can do. These all the things are done with the post-processing software which is present inside the CT 385 as well as the ADW software. So these things can be done with the system with full coverage. So triple phase abdomen study with plain arterial portal venous study, you can see here. So it gives high quality image with applying with the ASER. So ASER is important factor that which gives less radiation with high image quality. So these are some of the cochlear studies. So you can see the cochlea here. The patient is having some infection here. We can even do virtual bronchoscopy. So these are the bronchoscopic images in which we are seeing the tracheal bifurcation, in which in one of the bifurcation, the left side they are having a foreign body inside. So for the foreign bodies, and this black image which you are seeing is minimum IP images. We also use minimum IP images for the chest studies in case to find out any foreign bodies. So maximum intensity projection as well, minimum intensity projection is used along with.
The radiolucent foreign body can also be seen through this, or
yes, because we use a particular software there. If there is some obstruction in the way, the software cannot let the navigator to go inside. It will get stopped there. CT colonoscopy.
It can give where exactly is the object, and then further we can, with the flexible bronchoscopy, we can remove that. I mean, it gives a exact place where it is.
Yes,
right?
yes. While doing this bronchoscopy, along with the bronchoscopic images, you are getting axial, sagittal, and coronal images. So you can correlate along with. You can correlate along 3 views with the bronchoscopic image. So it will show where we reached. So by a particular pointer, we can make it out where the place is.
You can measure the size of it.
And this is one of the images which is done through a colonoscopy. Colonoscopy is like a bronchoscopy study only, but patient preparation is a must thing for doing colonoscopy. We take both supine and prone images for doing a colonoscopy, and in your system we have a particular software for colonoscopy. So less manpower, greater work with the software.
How long does it take for that virtual bronchoscopy? Because the patient might be very uncomfortable with the foreign body, breathing difficulty will be there.
Max to max 10 seconds.
With the reconstruction, everything report, I mean, it could be.
The scan time takes 10 seconds.
Okay.
It takes another 5 seconds.
Pushing another. Okay. Because the patient might be in a lot of distress, so we don't know whether to take a call or shift the patient or what to do.
How long does that process take?
Processing it will take only 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maximum 5 minutes can be taken for the processing. Processing is also so easy.
Oh.
So these are the colonoscopy images, just like the bronchoscopy, but bronchoscopy don't have a particular software that we are using here, but for the colonography we have a particular software in which you can navigate. We can see everything what is there in the colon, and we have a angioscopy also. In this second view of image you can see the iliac artery is occluded. So in the occlusion case we do a angioscopy in which the navigation is done within the arteries. So navigation can be done with even with the vertebral, even with the vertebra we can do through the lung, we can do everywhere, we can do the scopies. So there's a particular thing called navigator. That navigator decides, and with the technician effort we can just go for a angioscopy, bronchoscopy.
Endoscopy, the hat is, oh, this thing can be seen?
Which one, sir?
The stomach.
Yes, stomach also can be seen.
So we have
whatever is hollow we can see.
Okay.
Even the everything which is hollow we can see.
Because now the endoscopy was the only thing we knew to see inside the stomach. Only ultrasound we said we can't say anything. So this, if it can give a very good images and all, then this can it replace endoscopy? I mean, through for
Of course,
diagnosis?
because endoscopy means you are seeing viewed in a
Only
color.
for,
This one.
for biopsy
In this we have to post process it. That's the only difference. But post processing, whatever is hollow,
Mm-hmm. No,
what
I
is
got
hollow
it. I
in
got your
nature, we can
point.
do the navigation.
Okay.
So you can see
But only-
ulcers and all. Ulcers.
Yes.
Ulcers, ulcerative colitis, diverticuli, all
Yes.
that.
Diverticular, everything you can see.
Growth, malignancy.
Yes, if there is growth, it will not move. Because if there is growth, if there is path only, it will move. If there is unless there is no path to move, the navigator will not move. It will stop there.
What do you mean by navigator? Is it inside the although
It's inside the console. It's a software. So that navigator is the thing in which helps in the angioscopy, bronchoscopy, and all. Through that particular software, we can see the inside thing. And hereby conclusion. G Healthcare provides gold standard technology for the users with high spatial resolution low dose, and in Brimo 385 we are using Acer, which is more accurate in low dose with giving high image quality, and Optidose, organ dose modulation are the other features which helps in the improvisation of image quality with low radiation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. Akila. Thank you. I'm glad Ms. Akila was here today because we wanted you to hear from the horse's mouth of the doctors that what the new technology can do. I understand there have been some concerns because we've replaced the 64 with the 16 slice, but frankly, I think we've actually increased our capabilities, and the most potent benefit from this new scanner, as Ms. Akila has highlighted, is the dose reduction. As we've, last year or so, we've been discussing on a regular basis, a lot of patients are starting to ask questions about dose, and rightly so, because it is an issue. And we can now tell them honestly and justifiably that we have taken a huge step towards reducing radiation dose, 40% dose reduction relative to our previous scanner. So this is a big benefit, and particularly in the pediatric population, I think it's a much safer scanner. We have, of course, been doing a lot to maintain our radiation dosage to the minimum possible. Shiv Kumar keeps very detailed records of the radiation on every scan that we do. We're using the Bismuth shield, we have an eye shield, we have every possible, we've got a special pediatric shield in the X-ray department. So we're very radiation conscious, but I think this really takes us to a different level in terms of radiation protection and safety. So that's one huge benefit I think we would like to highlight to our patients and to all of you referring physicians. The second thing is, as she said, it has this pitch booster, right?
Yes, pitch booster.
Which makes the scan acquisition very quick. So that's how in 5 seconds we can do the chest CT for a virtual bronchoscopy. And it has essentially all the capabilities of the 64 slice CT scanner in terms of angiogram, endoscopy, everything. Coronary, in the old days on 16 slice, people used to do coronary CT scans, but once 64 slice came, then that became the standard of care. So the recommendation is not to do coronaries here, plus you require certain features of EKG gating and stuff which this doesn't have. So that's the one trade-off. But every other angiogram is possible on the scanner, every type of endoscopy is possible on the scanner, and you've seen the quality of the images that we get. So it's really a very versatile piece of equipment, and we're very happy to have it, and encourage all of you to continue using it and supporting it as you have in the past. And thank you once again for being with us. Really appreciate it. Shiv Kumar and Shobha and Prem are available to answer any questions anytime, and we are always there for your support. So any questions this time, we're happy to take.
What is the preparation for a colonoscopy?
So we suggest 4 to 5 days preparation with less diet. The patient should not be having hard food. Light food should be given. With dulcolax should be given for the last 5 days. Dulcolax should be given for the last 5 days with a charcoal accompanied, and enema should be given on the last 2 days. On the present day, the patient colon should be fine. You can just see it, and when the patient is there on the table, give air enema, and after till the tolerable limit, the air enema can be given, and after that you can just take the scan. But at least 5 days preparation is required. Unless there is some obstruction in between, we will not get the proper colonoscopy.
very hard to understand technically how you can get images of what is there inside the viscous unless you put a small pellet camera or something. You know, there is also a camera endoscopy.
Where?
There is
The
a
pill endoscopy.
technique-
This.
Pill endoscopy. You put the camera
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
So that is easy to understand, but this technically I can't imagine how you can get the images of all these ulcers, growths, whatever from outside.
Maybe we
As
can
you
show
know-
That I can show you, madam.
That
That I can
Come
show
down,
you.
yeah.
we'll be happy to show you some demos.
Because this can potentially replace screening colonoscopies and
Absolutely.
Yes,
endoscopies.
here I can show you some pulps and all in the colon. You will come to see this.
Even we have some interesting cases there in the system with so much polyps in the colonoscopy. You can make it out the polyps. You can mark the polyps so that you can visualize the polyps, and even whatever it is, you can just zoom it, measure it. You can do whatever which is required.
See, from a treating perspective, supposing I have to do one diagnostic tool. If I do only say virtual colonoscopy, and then I say, in spite of this, you have to do the regular colonoscopy, how would I convince the patient that this is as good and you may not need an additional colonoscopy? Do you have any data on
Added
this?
cost benefits and.
Maybe I can take this. So I think that's one of the reasons, and you made a very valid point, why it has not been as successful in the West as, you know, technically it's a fantastic study. The problem is, and it's the same with, you know, with coronary CT angiography. If there is a finding which then requires subsequent intervention, then the logic that is used is why not just do the diagnostic study and the intervention at the same time. The fact is that there will be a significant percentage of the population where there will be no finding and no further follow-up is required. That is the percentage of the population that is benefiting from a virtual colonoscopy, because then they don't have to go through the entire trauma of
Endoscopy, even the colonoscopy patient are quite afraid of.
Yeah. So
There
this is
is-
completely non-invasive.
yeah, that
You
is
know,
one
there's no
good point
discomfort. I
we
mean,
can
there is some
take.
discomfort from the gas that is insufflated, but it's no more uncomfortable than an enema push, for example. So in that sense, it's a much better tolerated procedure, and agree, it is its own worst enemy, because if you do make a finding and the patient then has to go to have the lesion removed, then it's going to be an issue. But I think where it helps is in the subset of patients which are low risk, where you still
Screening.
want to do the screening, but your pretest probability is low. In that subset, I think it's a valuable study, because they are, you know, much more comfortable at the end of the day, and you know, you can give very the sensitivity and specificity are the high 90s, so you can give a very confident normal report on a study that is performed properly. But if your pretest probability of expecting a lesion is high, then it's probably, you know, better to go proceed directly to endoscopy.
The
second
patients with
thing
the
is-
history of cancer,
Yeah.
they go every year or every 5 years screening.
Yeah.
So would it recommend it for them, or is it okay? Like
It is. And one other subset where it's been very effective in the literature is in patients with failed colonoscopy, you know, who have, for various reasons, they're very tortuous and redundant colons, so it's difficult to get the probe all the way. Those are the patients that benefit a lot from virtual colonoscopy, because just putting the gas is much easier than putting a scope in the colon is very redundant. The other thing is to remember that you don't always need a virtual colonoscopy to pick up a colonic tumor. There are many colonic tumors that you pick up on routine CT of the abdomen and pelvis also. So the virtual colonoscopy is really a technique to look for small polyps below a centimeter in size. It's specifically done to look for very small lesions. That's why it requires so much preparation and all of that. But you know, a mass that is 2 or 3 centimeters in size would be picked up even with a routine CT. It would not require a colonoscopy necessarily. Do you agree?
Yeah.
What would be the cost?
The cost, okay.
the patient would
Approximate,
ultimately
approximate.
feel
I
that.
don't, do we have a costing right now?
No, sir.
We don't.
This
You're going to have to help us develop that number, because I don't think we have any.
Okay, what do they do in other places?
Maybe you can tell us.
Beg your pardon?
In other centers where they have it, what is the cost there?
Actually, I
You
don't
don't
know.
know.
Don't.
Because
We'll find out,
colon
yeah.
VCAR is, that particular software is so much costly, so many people will not go for a colon VCAR software. They'll do manual navigation. There's a particular software for the manual navigation. So this colonoscopy here, we have a particular software. So in a single click, everything comes just like that. So that is depending.
So,
Software is
Ask around
costly.
and see what other
yeah,
places.
I think probably we'll have to ask.
Then you have to have the gastroenterologist take also, like they
they have to support it.
Yeah, they have to support.
So cardiologists have to support coronary CT. Generally is not the case.
they'll say, "Oh, no, I want to put a scope." So,
I think if you can be seen as a step between yourselves as the internists and the gastroenterologists, then it is more likely to be successful. Once the patient goes to the gastroenterologist, the chances of being referred for
He'll probably go in for an invasive.
exactly. Yeah, that's generally the way it works. So if there is a patient whom you yourselves feel that colonoscopy would be beneficial, then you will request.
maybe the patient with the history of cancer who goes regularly on an annual basis, then those can be beneficial. Who already gone 1 or 2 colonoscopies and they have negative finding, and then instead of a regular colon, you can have a virtual colonoscopy, and then every year, then you can, if any finding is taken.
What about smokers and virtual bronchoscopy?
No, smoking doesn't depend with the virtual bronchoscopy, no problem. We usually do for the bronchoscopy, we usually do for some tumor cases, foreign body cases, we go for the bronchoscopy.
No, if you're doing a HRCT or if any lesion is there, should the software will automatically convert and see the bronchoscopy, or there is again he has to go for a second scan?
Again, we have to go for a second. No need of scanning second.
Oh.
In a single scan, another procedure should be done.
Okay, got it. So that the thing should help. If they find out, then they can see the
That's the same sitting
bronchoscopy.
we can do it.
Yeah.
The virtual bronch, there is no special preparation.
Okay, yeah, that's already.
But for the angioscopy, there is no preparation is required. Colonoscopy, it is.
So carotid, carotid angiogram.
Yeah.
This if they do a scan of the neck and if there is a lesion or this thing, the
You can go for
carotid
angioscopy then.
angioscope. I
Yeah.
mean, from the
That
software
is
only you can
exactly
do.
where it is.
You can without doing a rescan or something.
No need of doing any rescan.
Okay,
If the
for a
contrast is
patient with
there,
dizziness,
angioscopy can be
you
done.
can be cervical spine, and also if there is nothing, they can look for
In
this
the
thing.
spinal canal.
So, yeah, cervical spine.
Okay.
If there is no compression of this thing, no spondylosis, and thing, they can look for a carotid narrowing, which might be leading for this thing. So that can also be reported, sir. Can that be reported in the same?
Yeah, the only thing is if you're doing it for degenerative disc disease, you wouldn't give contrast.
Okay.
So you would have to let us know that both concerns are there.
Well, the contrast has to be given. Without
Yeah,
the contrast,
so
Contrast-
angioscopy it has to be with contrast.
In case of stenosis, we don't go for angioscopy. There's a particular option called AV Express. In that AV Express, in a single click, we can get the full carotids. In that particular software, we can get the diameter, so you can understand how it is, how much difference is there with the upper part of the carotids and the lower part of the carotid where the stenosis is. So measurement comes automatically, full diameter.
What about gynecologists? Where can they use this? Some gynecologists. The gynecologists, where can they use
No.
them? Gynecology.
once pregnant, they can't come here.
Only gynecologist.
There's no specific indication that I'm aware of when we see, uterine fibroids, ovarian tumors. In fact, in our teleradiology work with the US, the commonest diagnosis in young women with abdominal pain is just a ruptured ovarian follicle. It's ridiculous the number of scans that are done where that's the only finding. Mostly done for appendicitis, and the finding is that there's just a little fluid and cyst. But other than that, I can't think of any specific indication, but certainly. And most GYN imaging is really done with ultrasound.
Pelvic is absolutely, CT doesn't have.
Right.
Yesterday we did
I
one.
think post-operative, sometimes post-operative cesarean section complications tend to, the ultrasound is not very helpful because they have an incision and they're tender. That's where CT tends to be helpful.
So yesterday there was an ectopic, a ruptured ectopic.
Yes.
There was a mass in the right. So even though we did the CT, we asked twice. I asked, there's no chance of pregnancy. So she said no. So we did the CT scan. So even they reported as a hemorrhagic cyst with mild bleeding. So we referred, and today they said it is an ectopic. So she was also not sure.
I saw that patient. Today's no?
Yes, sir.
Today's patient.
Swati.
That was hemorrhagic only, not ectopic.
No, the gynecologist called me and said that is
Ectopic.
Yeah, ectopic.
That's all. Today one one was done here for like
But we don't do a urine pregnancy test before.
They did the urine pregnancy test. I mean,
Before
we
the
didn't do
CT.
it. So I asked her, so she said absolutely no chance of pregnancy. So she was not even expecting also, she was not planning to keep. So,
Well, maybe we should start doing urine pregnancy tests, especially.
As a safer thing, it's better to do it. To
Because
guard
in this
against
case, exactly.
yeah,
In this
liability.
case, it was ectopic, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if it's an intrauterine pregnancy, it will be a problem. I don't think the history is that reliable, I guess.
yeah,
And it's an immediate test, right?
It's immediate.
immediate. But sometimes
best-
within 30 days, I think urine pregnancy we should send a serum HCG. But that takes a bit time.
Sorry?
Serum HCG, it takes a bit time.
Yeah. Well, at least
So-
if you have a negative urine pregnancy test, you're at least, you've done, I don't know, that small subset is different.
Yeah.
At least 90% of the patients we can
Even they did an ultrasound screening, but they said it was even hemorrhagic cyst. They didn't give a report. So
Yeah, but
there was a cyst, plus there was a hemorrhagic component of the cyst,
Sometimes
and also
patients say
there's an
cannot
ectopy.
be 10 days to 15 days. So we can't
Highly pregnancy it will give negative report.
But even so, it's better to do it than not do it, right?
But you're
They
taking
say,
a question before you're doing the
Yes,
scan.
sir,
You're
FGN
taking the
application
question.
he has.
So that
Even,
also-
I
Because
think-
you're asking.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes.
We take the sign also.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Consent.
Consent form is there.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments?
Is this all new or has been there, this new technology?
The imaging part of the technology has been there. I think the new features in this particular scanner are the dose reduction features. These are very revolutionary. I think that's a big step forward, and I think GE deserves credit for really spearheading the process of dose reduction. They've done a lot of very novel work in dose reduction techniques. So, and I think it's, in a sense, they have been pushed in that direction because of all the media attention on radiation dose in the recent past, especially in the US. It's become a huge issue because especially in children, I think there's a lot of concern about children getting repeated scans. So, but by bringing the dose down by 40%, that is a major step forward. It makes CT that much safer. So that is the new technology really. The imaging part of it, everything that we have now is what we had before. But we just wanted to reassure you that we still have it. We haven't lost it by going from 64 to 16 slides. We still, we have a very high-end multi-detector scanner. As she said, it's even though it's a 16 slice scanner, it's actually 50 slides, 50
Yes.
detectors
With the pitch booster.
with the high pitch. So we can do head-to-toe angiography, we can do endoscopy, we can do pulmonary embolism imaging, we can do the entire aorta from top to bottom, we can do the
Pulmonary?
leg runoff. So all vascular disease, suspected cerebral aneurysm, the entire gamut of head-to-toe imaging, CT imaging is available to us. We've not lost any capability with the exception of cardiac.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.